Blair.
Good day to you. Hello.
Hey.
Okay, so we have a fun topic today, a fun one, in that there are lots of things Alina and I get talking about, and then we just get so excited about one thing. So
we are going to be specific today a little bit about 8 ways that we dishonor ourselves. We ran across this really great list of ways that we make ourselves small. And as April and I were reading this, we were like, oh my gosh, this is really an important conversation for women, specifically during pregnancy and coming into labor. So we're just going to jump right in these 8 ways. The first way is...
Wait, where did this come from?
Oh,
this isn't ours.
This is not ours.
I want to give credit to it, but we could not find the original source, so we're going to tell you where we found it, and hopefully...
So I got it on Nicolette Manson, her Instagram, but it looks like the copyright is "We're Not Really Strangers." So perfect. That's where we got it. This list, but we just really wanted to break down these lists, and I know we do this as women in general, but we really wanted to talk a little bit. There's some idiosyncrasies with pregnancy that we felt like were important.
We needed to address, and so you can be aware of it and maybe move through it and become even more bold and powerful.
Yeah.
In this most creative, powerful, abundant space that you are in
pregnancy.
Yeah.
So the first one is deflecting compliments. I'm sure you've heard that before. You know, like, oh my gosh, you look so cute today. And you're like, oh, I haven't had a shower in weeks.
Or my personal thing is if somebody compliments my clothes, I then have to tell them how much I paid for them and what a good deal it was. And
which is great. And
whatever,
that's fine.
Right?
But we're not, as women, very good at accepting the compliments. Like, thank you. I really do. You don't even have to say, I do love how I look today. But it just is a simple thank you and then meaning it. Where this gets tricky in pregnancy, and again, this is just something we've noticed. And I think, personally, it's up to you what you think, that this is also a deflection of a compliment. When somebody tells you, oh my gosh, you look so big. And I know that is a thing in pregnancy that makes us all want to punch your face in. Like, don't you dare tell me I look big one more time. And I'm going to put it out there that I really got those compliments from 70-year-old men or maybe even 40-year-old men. And then I got them from grandmas too, oh, you look so big. And I really do think they're meaning it as a compliment. And when we reject it and say that's not the compliment I want, I wonder if that is bringing us into a lower vibrational state, thus making us feel a little bit smaller. What if we just were oh, that was their best way to give a compliment? Thank you.
They're trying to connect.
Yeah, they're trying to connect.
That was, their effort. But, and then I guess you can be reflective on okay, how would I really want somebody to reflect or to connect with me? And what would I really want them to say? And then you get the opportunity to say those things to other people.
Well, yeah. And help them. Oh, you know what? I actually I don't feel like I'm looking big. I just am pregnant or whatever. You could say something, but just remember the spirit is that they are giving you a compliment. So deflecting kind compliments and maybe even backhanded compliments from your point of view. Because again, most people that say something just want to connect and they're not sure how to do it. And that's the first thing that comes to their mind. So just honoring the effort of that a compliment is connection.
Yes. And I like what Ashley said. It's nice. Thanks. That's nice. But I'd rather not hear that you're oh so big.
I love that.
And
that's a good one.
And I do. Right. No one wants to hear that. So maybe you say, I'd rather not hear that. But maybe you can tell me how beautiful my skin is glowing or something
just help him out. Give a dog a bone. I don't know. But that's number 1 is we dishonor ourselves by deflecting compliments. Take it, own it, and then make it mean what you want it to mean, not what you think.
And maybe even a power could be, maybe they meant it mean, I don't know, but the power in it for you could be taking things that other people are saying as compliments.
I love it. Just in general.
There's the power.
I love that.
Okay, so number 2.
Go ahead.
Is saying yes when you mean saying yes when we mean no. So as far as pregnancy goes, think about your doctor's appointments. Think about like when, like, if they're like, okay, do you have any more questions? Like, does everything sound good? Are we good there? And you're like,
or like, does this make sense? And you're like, and you don't know the question to ask, so you just say yes.
Yeah, sure does.
Sure, yeah. And that's in your life. Like, you may not, you know that in the mornings you have really bad heartburn. And I just like, seriously, it takes me 4 hours to get rid of the heartburn, and I just really don't like doing anything. But your sister wants to go to the park, and the teacher wants you to come volunteer, or your church needs this thing from 8 to noon, and those are your high times of heartburn, and just not saying yes, like, no, you know what, actually I can go afternoon when my heartburn isn't so bad. So just dishonoring, just because it maybe tomorrow won't be that bad, or maybe it's going to be fine, just really saying no when you want to say no. And but the pregnancy edition was specifically for your care provider. If you ask a question that they don't really answer, and they ask you,
does that make sense? Yeah, sure does. But if it doesn't, and here's the thing, I know that a lot of times the biggest issue is not that we don't necessarily want to look stupid, it's more that we just, everything is changing. So we don't know where to start. We don't know what to say. Yeah. We don't know what question to ask. And so really, truly, you could just be like, I don't know what to ask. What are some good questions that I need to know?
Yes. I don't know what to ask. I just, that doesn't make sense. Or
like, I'm feeling off. Like, I'm just, like, maybe if you're feeling great, and that's awesome. But if you're just like, I'm not exactly sure where to be, don't dishonor yourself by just being like, walking out of there and calling up your partner and being like, I don't know, I think everything's okay. Yeah. If they're like, how'd your appointment go? I think it's good. If you have to say I think in any capacity, then we probably need to open the communication a little bit more.
And to ask a few more questions. And here's the thing, we get that in the setting of a care provider, when they're there for 30 seconds, you have 5 minutes to ask a question for them to do all the things. Sometimes it feels like, rushed. I don't even know what to ask. When you get there. So here's our plug for childbirth education classes. Honestly, childbirth education classes are awesome. Almost any of your instructors are available and open to answering all your questions, even if you are like, that's a dumb question.
Not to mention, they will be able, taking a childbirth class will actually help you to know what questions to ask.
Yes.
You won't feel like you're starting with like nothing under your footing.
Yeah.
So
just asking good questions, hiring a doula, and asking your questions there sometimes is helpful, and they can be like, oh, that's a question for your care provider.
Yeah.
And help to guide you. So if you're saying yes when you mean no and not sure how to get out of it, those are a couple tools. Childbirth education class, doula, Google, but just know that sometimes Google doesn't always have all the information. So
that's true.
Mom forums, things like that. So to get your questions answered. Okay, so the third way is saying it's nothing when it really is something.
Is that not like the total epitome of pregnancy?
Oh my gosh, it describes pregnancy. I mean, how many times have you said that? Oh, it's nothing. It's just debilitating heartburn.
Or
I haven't eaten for days.
Feel like they're falling off, or I can't keep anything down, or and you know what? I know it feels like you're a broken record sometimes, and it feels like there's no one that understands, and it feels like you're in this by yourself, but maybe your partner isn't a good space to I wouldn't even say complain, but just like to seek connection and understanding from. And so find the space that you will be able to
like connect and find a community, and not necessarily community, because you don't want to necessarily complain all the time. Yeah. But really, when you're saying it's nothing all the time, and you're telling yourself that, like, the heartburn comes and and you're not feeling great and people say, what's wrong? And you say, that's nothing. It's nothing. It just discounts you and how you feel. And we wonder, what would that look like to you to not say it's nothing, or to not tell yourself, oh, it's nothing?
Or even when you feel like there's something. So this is a big one. Again, kind of going back to your own intuition and your not your partner, but your care provider. And when you feel like there's something, and maybe you go to your doctor's appointment and they tell you it's nothing, but you feel like it's something, honor yourself by looking into it.
Yes.
Honor yourself by your own intuition, by following through. And maybe it's like that way with your partner. Well, like something feels wrong, your partner's like, oh, it's probably nothing. Follow through by going to your care provider and just making sure everything's okay. So we just want to help you to recognize, to honor yourself in this space of your own intuition, your own feelings, and in your own communication. So, because when you say it's nothing, when you're thinking it's something, when you have something on your mind and you say it's nothing, you're actually not communicating well, and that actually drives a wedge places and again, dishonors yourself.
Yes. Very much so. So Ashley says, taking a class helped me. Not so much me, but I think my husband, to know what to expect. And then you have like a buddy for life, right? When they understand and can really like help you ask the right questions, or they're asking you the right questions. It's like, oh my gosh, we're in this together. And then Ashley, if you're still here, will you clarify your second sentence? I'm not sure. If you'll just clarify that for me, that would be awesome. So the fourth way we dishonor ourselves is tolerating relationships that leave us feeling bad. Okay, so we know that sometimes that's our mother-in-law, sometimes that's our mom, our sister, whatever. And we're going to let you think about that. But the one relationship that we really want to highlight for this pregnancy edition is your care provider relationship. Tolerating relationships that leave us feeling bad. When you have an interaction with your care provider that leaves you feeling misunderstood, unheard, disregarded.
Yeah.
What are other things?
Like, I'm
that make you feeling bad. I cannot tell you how many people will tell us that they don't really like their care provider doesn't really listen. Their care provider doesn't really, just kind of like sweeps in, does their job, and moves on.
They feel like they don't have time for them. They're just a number, like all of that, right? That feels like your life experience is not being taken seriously, or
it's nothing. Going back to the other one, right? So our suggestion is,
and always is, to find the right care provider for you. You can always change, and it is, we highly recommend that you make your support system exactly right for you, because guess what? There's lots of care providers out there. And so you are able to get to one that is more aligned with you, that you feel like you're not coming away feeling bad or feeling like you have
and it might take a couple. You might go through a couple, but just so you know, that is one of the most empowering things you will do for yourself. Choosing you, trusting your gut, choosing your family. Like, that is, no one feels bad. And even if it's the doctor that or the care provider that did other people, and it's like a family tradition, and you just are not being honored or heard in this time that is yours to have, and you get to build and customize this for yourself. Really empower yourself by getting the care that you need. This is a really important relationship in this time in your life. So that is our empowering message, is find a new care provider if you're not feeling it. So number 5 is comparing ourselves to people who are on a different journey than us.
Yeah, so this one, and in relationship with pregnancy specifically, is, I mean, how many times are you out and about and people tell you their pregnancy stories, or they're telling you all of sometimes it's horror, sometimes it's really amazing, but they're telling you their journey. And so it's really, we're just saying the space to honor yourself is to not compare your experience with anybody else's. And that even includes past pregnancies.
Yes.
Which is kind of hard to do when it's like your own self. But, and I mean, by all means, it's going to be like, oh, this is different.
It'll inform your pregnancy.
But as far as like comparing to feel bad, we just say don't do it.
Seriously, don't dishonor yourself by that. This is everybody's journey is something, and people love to tell their birth stories, and it's so healing and powerful for people to tell their birth stories.
I mean, we love hearing women's stories. We love it. It is one of our favorite things.
It is. But if you are finding that you're getting into the trap of like, well, Susan didn't even have. She didn't even have a long labor, and my last labor was 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like, or
like my sister had 5 C-sections, and so I'm destined to it. Yeah. No, that was her journey. That was her journey, and it doesn't necessarily. Maybe it will end up like that, but guess what? You're going to approach it, even if it worked out exactly the same, which it never does, you guys. It never
No.
We have each had lots of children, and never has it been the same.
No.
So I'm just gonna say that it's comparing nothing that fits together. The puzzles are from different the pieces are from different puzzles. Like they won't fit.
So if you'll honor yourself by just remembering that is a beautiful experience of somebody else's, and you are ready for your own experience, and I know that piece can be really hard, but just being aware.
Letting other people's journeys be a connection to you, but not defining you.
Yeah, I love that. And let's go back to what Ashley said. So she clarified, because she talked about taking a class and how much that really, really helped. But she wished she had taken a class that actually helped her through her labor, which is really, really awesome. So off on a little tangent, a lot of hospital classes will just tell you what happens when you have a baby. But you will need to take like a technique class. Like ours is Unmedicated Birth Academy. We teach you everything you need to know to all the tools you need for pain relief options during labor. And then we also teach you all the things that are going to happen at birth.
And we teach your companion, your partner, things to do to help you be more
helpful.
That are more helpful, that are ways that he can show up to make it so that you have a better
and actually we have a course built just for partners that speak to partners in their language what they need, and it's a bonus. So it's really fun, because she says a class would have been beneficial, because the class we took was just here's what could happen, not how to handle it. And that's the thing, like empower yourself, honor yourself, and get the help and the questions that you have specifically answered. I love that, Ashley. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. 6, apologizing for our feelings.
Okay.
Take it.
Is that like not totally pregnancy, right? Because you go from feeling crazy to fine, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm really so sorry.
I know.
Which, that's okay. Please recognize, but then also realize that like, you're pregnant, and this is just a blip in your moment, in your space of your life. And
if you're saying or doing hurtful things, definitely apologize. But please do not say, I cannot go to the park from 8 to 2 because of my heartburn, and I'm so sorry that I have heartburn. I mean, like, I just don't feel very good when I have heartburn, and I'm just really, really sorry I can't make it. No,
you don't need to apologize.
From 8 to 12, I get heartburn. After 12, I'm good to go. So thank you for showing up at 12 or moving the meeting to 12 or
you know what? Don't apologize for being pregnant. No. Don't apologize for any of the symptoms. Don't apologize for how you feel. So it's, you are allowed to feel your feelings, especially when everything that's going on in your body is crazy.
And something that's totally unpopular that I'm about to say is I, with my first couple pregnancies, did not have morning sickness. And I felt like I had to apologize for it around people that did have morning sickness, because I've had now morning sickness, and it is a doozy.
It's terrible.
I don't I mean, I can understand, but so to the opposite extreme, if you are not presenting a symptom and it feels like you won the lottery and you feel really bad, don't. Like, that's awesome. But I mean, maybe don't go flaunting it either.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't go around like,
but then it is like, comes back to comparing your own journey.
Yes, this is your own journey and you didn't get morning sickness. Hallelujah, you won. That's so fun. Okay, number 7, lying about who we are, especially to ourselves. April had a really good thought on pregnancy with this.
Okay, what was it?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, because we were talking about it. Now that I'm into the other things. Okay, so lying about who we are. Oh yeah. So it's more along the lines of your support system, as far as okay. I remember now, you guys. Okay, here. How many of us, raise your hand when somebody says, "Who are what is your birth goals? Like, what do you want? What's the most important thing?" And you say, to have a healthy baby, right? 100% of us are like, that's all I want. I just want a healthy baby.
Number 1 goal, right?
Which is accurate, right? Like, that's true. We get that. We totally are like, yeah, let's have a healthy baby. But don't lie to yourself that that's the only thing you care about, right? There are other things there. There are things that you really want out of this labor. When no one's around and you are letting yourself dream about your birth, what does that look like? How do you show up in your birth? And what is the whole space? Because
does it feel quiet? Does it feel calm? Is it a party? Are there 100 people there? Is there a photographer? Do you look beautiful? Do you have a labor gown that makes you feel awesome? Do you feel whole and in control? Do you feel like you get to make the shots and give the direction?
Do you want an epidural in the parking lot? Like, what?
Yes.
What does it look like? And so this one, number 7, where it says lying about who you are, especially to ourselves, is just being like, what is it that you want? And then showing up for yourself or like, don't lie to yourself about it, as far as like, be okay. You can want that.
Yeah,
like, let's do that. Let's figure out how to get that.
I love that. Here's Ashley's list. Healthy mom, non-traumatic birth, being able to speak up and say what I want or don't want.
I love it.
I mean, those are basic human needs.
I love it.
I love that. So remember, it's not just the healthy baby, it's having a healthy experience while getting your healthy baby. So I really love that. Ashley also said I feel like I have to apologize because I knew what I wanted and everyone told me, no, you don't.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So
Ashley,
you were finding ways that other people dishonor you as well because you tried to honor yourself. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep going, because you know what? You can have an expectation for yourself.
And we really do need to give a shout out to all the first-time moms out there, because there's way too many of us that have had babies and we are trying to
discount your experience.
Yeah, we are trying to project our experience onto you, and that's 100% not fair. So I want you guys to know that, yes, just because you have never done it before does not mean you don't know what you're doing, or does not mean that you
don't know what you want.
Yeah, it's so. Ashley, thank you for bringing that up, because that is a huge pregnancy dishonor to yourself, especially as first-time moms. So we just want to give you first-time moms the power to, for sure, ask questions, take advice if you want to. But those who are telling you, no, you don't know what you want,
they're wrong.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
They're wrong.
I love that. My experience is not yours. It is what I say that matters.
Now,
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so the 8th way we dishonor ourselves is by choosing people that aren't choosing us.
Okay, so this was the other one where we were talking about kind of our support system. Yeah. So sometimes it's really difficult when you have maybe people that are close to you, maybe a mom, maybe a mother-in-law, maybe sisters, maybe even your own partner that maybe doesn't necessarily understand your birth goals, maybe doesn't want the same things you want out of your labor experience. And so it feels like you still have to choose them, right? Does it feel like that? Like I can't not
They're
have,
supposed to be there.
yeah, I can't not have my mom there, even though she doesn't understand why I don't want to have an epidural.
And she gets really like offended that I'm not doing it the way she did it,
or that I don't want her there. And so it's more stressful because it's like, how do I not have her there? But then if she's there, then I'm stressed out when she's so, okay, right? Like, how many of us have had a similar
So we end up
scenario.
dishonoring ourselves to make sure everyone else feels honored.
Okay.
And we want to say no.
Okay, we're just saying choose people that aren't choosing you is a way to dishonor. So choose people who will support you. Hire the doula. So yeah, maybe your partner doesn't necessarily show up the way you want to, but say, okay, I will make a compromise with you. We're going to take a childbirth education class, and then find the one that you really jive with and have him do it. We love all childbirth education classes.
All of them are valid and valuable.
It will help. But there are definitely some that are better than others. We love ours. We love ours. If you want to look at Unmedicated Birth Academy, we have a whole partners section where it's just for partners and exactly what they need to know, so they don't have to go through the whole thing. However, that being said, is then you hire a doula and you make sure that you have support people there that are going to align with what you want and that are choosing you. And guess what? Typically the other people show up to choose and support you eventually. So
sometimes they just need to be shown how. But really, we understand that relationships are tricky, and it might be really, really one of the hardest things you do to say, Mom, this is important for my partner and I to do this with our doula, and I will call you the minute the baby comes.
So, and here, do you want to hear a little side like situation for this? One of my very best friends, I am a doula, and she didn't want her mom at her labor. And so, but that was a tricky spot because she actually hired me as her doula, but I was also her best friend. So her mom couldn't quite understand why April gets to be there, but I don't, because I know her. I knew her from when I was a teenager and younger. And so it didn't make sense that I actually was going to be a benefit and not just a spectator. And so it did cause a little bit of a problem, but actually it ended up so beautifully, like, she was really clear with her mom that she was like, I just don't feel like I could be able to relax because I love you so much. And I know that you really struggle when you see me in pain, and I don't want to have a medicated birth. I want an unmedicated birth. This is how April's going to help me. She's actually a doula. And she, both of them came, like, I had as a doula, I had a meeting with both her and her mom, like in a professional setting. This wasn't like just me as April, the best friend. It was like, we were chatting about it, and it made her mom a lot more confident. And then it was like, she came after the birth, and I had a sweet, sweet conversation with her mom that she was just like, thank you so much for being here. Even though I couldn't be here. It's going to make me cry because grandmas want to be there. They want to support, but sometimes they don't know how to do it. And especially if they're not connecting with how you want them to, just to know that you're being taken care of is going to be a huge help, I think. And hopefully, if you have a mom that is not in that space, then I hope you can communicate that. But usually I just want to say that she honored herself for surrounding her people that chose her
and chose to honor her experience.
And it's perfect. And guess what? It's been now lots of years, and it's fine.
It's all fine. So anyway, that is our list of 8 ways that we dishonor ourselves during pregnancy, but we have hopefully shed awareness on those ways. So maybe come up with, oh yeah, I could work on this, but we hopefully have offered you some solutions that you can embrace and maybe even jump from to create your own solutions.
Yes.
Because pregnancy is awesome. It is, if not the most amazing experience that you will have in power, creativity, and amazingness as a woman. And so
we just want to honor you.
Yeah, we honor you a lot more than 8 ways.
Yes. And so we hope you honor yourself.
Yes.
Anyway, we love you. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye.